All right. Mamdani finally has done the job and is going to be the mayor of New York City from January 1st, 2026. A big achievement on the part of Mamdani and the people who are supporting him. And I believe that he has done a commendable job in filling that void and gap created by the people who were his predecessors. And definitely, he was very successful in creating a kind of illusion and fulfilling that gap, apparently, which people wanted to be fulfilled. And in the end, he has done something which is beyond expectations. Um, what do we have to learn from it? That's the most important thing. I mean, I don't care. I have been, actually, I care. As a matter of fact, I have been talking a lot about Mamdani being the threat for a city like New York, uh, where there's a history of 9/11, and then right in front of that place where 9/11 happened, they have this mosque and they have this Dawa center, and then this city is becoming radicalized and Islamicized and all that. And I know I have seen the transformation happening in London, and I think Mamdani is a prodigy somehow, not directly maybe, but indirectly. He's a prodigy of Sadiq Khan. But whatever promises he made, I don't know if he's going to be able to fulfill them or not. But because there's going to be a time frame of like 4 years to assess his performance and see like how he's going to manage those budgets and how is he going to be able to achieve what he promised. That's a separate debate, and I'm not going to get into it uh, because a lot is being said about it. My perspective about it is going to be like different. It's not. I'm not going to talk much about his politics and what are going to be the results of him becoming the next mayor of New York City. To me, the most important thing, which I think to discuss, is the leadership. Um, why leadership? Because in a country of 330 million, wherever I look, I see a guy from Middle East or from Southeast Asia or from India or Pakistan um, climbing up the stairs in the world of politics and getting into the major leadership position the same day when Mamdani was having was contesting to be the mayor of New York City. A lady is selected in Virginia to be the lieutenant governor, and she also has a Muslim name, and I think she is also from Pakistan. Maybe she's a Pakistani descendant. So, why I want to talk about leadership? Because I believe that the victory of Mamdani has just exposed the entire American political leadership. The gap in the leadership has just surfaced. Like, I cannot believe that in a city like New York, um, there has been not a single real American person, irrespective of the color of the skin, creed, or whatever. By real American, I mean the people who are having the ancestry of being here for more than 100 or 200 years. Like no white American or no black American or any other American has the ability, the charisma, the leadership qualities, communication, the smile, and and all the skills required to fulfill that gap. And that gap is not fulfilled at the moment. It's just a verbal fulfilling of that gap. That's what I would say. But he identified that gap and then he came up with a narrative to fulfill that gap. The gap is not fulfilled, of course, but people wanted that gap to be fulfilled. But to me, it's a leadership failure. I mean, like, look at that. The guy that you proposed and offered to fight and contest against Mamdani is Como. I mean, this is the best thing that you could offer. This is the best thing that you could offer. Really? I mean, this is absolutely nonsense. To me, it's a kind of a conspiracy, call it a conspiracy theory on my part, that you brought Como to contest a charismatic leader like Mamdani. Como, a proven failure, having all kind of problems and issues, and a reject, and then you brought him. I think they brought Como to contest against Mamdani to make sure that Mamdani wins. This is how they contested this election. This is how they arranged this election to make sure that Mamdani wins by bringing in Como to compete against him. This is absurd, in my opinion. The second thing is that, frankly speaking, I see that no disrespect to my all American friends and other acquaintances that I know and the people in the professional world that I interact with, I am seeing that Americans are so fucking busy with their what is that, e what they call DEI and LGBTQ and abortion and all those kind of pronoun uh, dis what is that, discrimination, I would say, or deciding what to be called and what not to be called, what kind of pronoun I'm going to use if I have like two people inside me or one person inside me. This is the kind of this is the kind of crowd that Mamdani is competing against. Like people who are so confused about their identity, their pronoun, people who are just promoting DEI because they are so afraid of meritocracy and they don't want to compete on merit and they want everything for free. And this guy comes up, he identifies it, and he comes up with a socialist narrative, and he identifies this very thing that people actually do not want work and people want everything for free, and this is the best way to win the election, to come up with this ideology. I've taken some notes and I don't want to miss all of it. So when I look at the leadership, I say there is no single person in New York City who could compete against Mamdani. This is a particular example only for New York City. But what about the other cities? What about Detroit? What about Virginia? What about all the other places where you have mayors and governors and there's a battery of congressmen and all that? I have no problem with Muslims taking charge of it. But I have a problem with Americans. Where are they? Are they sleeping? Are they letting this happen? And when I talk about it to my friends, and people who I work with, they tell me like, "Oh, Suhail, you are just marginalizing a specific group of people because you grew up in that country and people were not good to you, but that doesn't mean that all the Muslims are bad." So I say, no, not all the Muslims are bad. Muslims are very good people. I have my best friends are all Muslim. It's the Islam, it's the teaching. And if you think that Mamdani, of all the people, is not going to support Muslim, is not going to have a double standard when he's in power, because the problem is not Muslims. The problem is Islamic teaching. And when you are a Muslim, you cannot run away from Islamic teaching. You cannot deny Islamic teaching. And in the word of Charlie Kirk, he said very right thing about it. He said that the left is using Islam and Muslims to tackle the conservatives. It's I'm paraphrasing, but you understand what I mean. The left has no guts and power to really fight against the right or the conservatives. So what they're using Islam, they're using Muslims to tackle and take care of the conservatives and the right. But left, they don't understand that leftist ideology is not in line with the Islamic ideology. And if today, hypothetically, if Islam comes into power, what is going to be the first thing they're going to do? They're going to take care of the left first. They're going to take care of the LGBTQ. There's a city, First Islamic City, you know that, in Detroit. what they did, the first thing they did, they take off the LGBTQ flag. So these are the things that they are going to do. And then you know that how Islamic teaching is more important than being Muslim, and how uh, somebody who claims to be a socialist, and somebody who claims to be a communist, and somebody who claims to be a broad-minded person is going to change his narrative. Suddenly, the tolerant and the most accepting person will become the most intolerant person. It's just like the Makki Islam and the Madani Islam. It's like the Muhammad's life in Mecca and Muhammad's life in Medina. And just like the verses and the scripture of Quran in Mecca and Quran in Medina. So if you compare both of them, like the first one is very compromising, the second one is all about dictation, all about taking control. So Sadiq Khan is the typical example of that. Like people like Sadiq Khan, a clean-shaven person, moderate looking, handsome, good looking, charming personality, that he's going to be their Messiah. And people think that Mamdani is going to be a Messiah too. Yeah, but Mamdani is not going to put himself on the cross to die for the salvation of the people of New York City. So he's no Messiah. He is going to put everybody on the cross. And you see that his plans, by the time he's going to be in power, what I see is that I think there are 113 billionaires in New York City, and I think most of them are moving out of the city, and more than 200,000 people is reported to leave the city in the next couple of months. So if these people who have the money, they are going to leave, and his confrontation with Trump, like his speech, uh, and all the Muslim world is so happy about it. And if you look at Pakistani media, that's Mamdani is the only Indian I think they love. Pakistani journalists and Pakistani media, they hate India, but Mamdani is one person I believe they love, because Mamdani, not being Indian, is still Muslim, and being Muslim is a very tribal thing, and being very tribal would mean like wherever you have a Muslim, he's your brother, and if a brother comes into power in a city like New York or London, then there's a hope that Islam is going to take control of the entire world, entire United States, entire UK, and that makes Pakistani journalism, Pakistani media very excited about it. You go, you watch uh, uh, their Pakistani TV channels, and you'll find out like how excited they are about Mamdani and how much they are talking about Mamdani challenging Trump. Like Pakistani prime minister and Pakistani field marshal is here and licking Trump's shoes, and then Pakistani media is all praise about Mamdani because he challenged Trump, and they're so happy about it because they have a hope that Mamdani is going to do something which uh, a Muslim is supposed to do. And what is that? Conquer the United States. That's the end game. So Mamdani is the hero of the whole entire Muslim world, and Mamdani has no way to run away from Muslim world, because that is what he is, and whatever mask he's wearing, he looks like a socialist, he looks like a communist, or he's having that smile all the time on his face. A person who has smile on his face all the time is a very dangerous person, because you really don't know what's going on inside his mind and heart. But anyway, going back to this thing, like I think this is the big this leadership crisis of the United States. United States have failed to produce one person to contesting in Mamdani. I'm surprised, like why 40% vote went to Como and 52% to Mamdani and 8% to the other person. I think Mamdani was going to do a clean sweep. But if Cuomo could get like 40% of the votes, that shows how politically compromised the American thinking process is. By going back to the same thing, I think America needs to have people who could show more guts, more resilience, more mettle, and could come up as the future leaders. You don't need people from Southeast Asia. You don't need people who are Muslims to lead this country, at least for this moment. But apparently, it seems that it is coming faster than what I was anticipating. I thought that maybe I would be gone, I would be dead, and my grandchildren will see that day. Then Islam would take over the United States. But it seems that I'm going to see it in my own lifetime that they are going to take it over. And a country like Pakistan, where we may used to make fun of Pakistani voters, the middle class, lower middle class, and the people who live under the poverty line, we make fun of all those people who cast their votes, who sell their votes on a single plate of biryani. Biryani is a kind of a spicy rice, and all the politicians, they just bring the voters to their voting camps. They offer plates of biryanis to people, and then after eating that biryani, they go in and put a stamp on the ballot paper and sell themselves for a plate of biryani. I think Pakistani voters, the third world country voters, have more integrity. At least they do something before casting the vote. But American voters are being cheated, in my opinion. They haven't seen any free rides yet. They haven't seen all those big government stores from where they are going to get the leverage of getting free food, and all those hi-fi tall promises made by Mamdani. But I thought that Americans had more integrity than any third world country people. But a free ride and you sell your vote, or a free bread and you would sell your vote, this is not American ideology, at least to me. When I came here 5 years ago, I thought people had more integrity and people had more commitment and people had more discipline towards American ideology. But it seems that life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness has just disappeared. And people like Mamdani just come up with fancy slogans and fancy speeches, and a very contagious smile can actually get into their minds and hearts and steal their votes. Uh, what I want to do is one thing more is established, that American population at the time is lazy. They don't want to work. They just want to get free money. They want to get free food. They want to get free services. And they are so jealous of the people who have more money. I mean, all those businessmen and people who have the ability to earn more money using capitalism as a crutch or as a backdoor. But whatever is the way, I mean, like people who earn more money and people who don't earn any money. There's a big gap between them. But we all know that capitalism was originally designed to create jobs so that you have a business, and then in terms of creating a business, you return what you owe to the society, and you create jobs. People come to job, people earn, have good livelihood, give taxes. Taxes go back to the government, and all that. So this changed, of course, and in the end, now people, all those entrepreneurs are more concerned about their profits, and the good business and the good capitalism ideology, which is not the original one, is all about profitability and return on investment, which is bad. But again, like this actually created an environment where most of the younger generation is having a chip on the shoulder, getting jealous with people who have money, more money, and then they're looking for a reason to get that money, and that money should be shared with them for no reason. So people who don't want to work, people who don't want to compete on meritocracy, people who talk about this. That's why I think uh, this what do you call it? DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. People are more inclined toward it because this is the opposite to the meritocracy. Like you can get a job just because you have a certain religion, you belong to a certain group, you have a certain color of your skin or creed, or but you possess that skill or not to do that job, it's not important. So people just want to get those jobs without having the required knowledge, skills, and attitude, but they just want to get those jobs and then working from home, not doing absolutely 100%, and getting higher salaries, expecting higher salaries, and then guy like Mamdani walks in with his fancy slogans, and then he he just reads the mind of the people very well, and he offers something for which at least he could have he could win the election so easily. And then in the end, what? In the end, now we have to wait for 4 years to see like what actually he has to offer. So, uh, guy like Mamdani was not even a first generation American winning the election. And I think this is a real big slap on the face of real Americans that they are sleeping, they are lazy, they are ignorant, and they are so busy with trivials, like I already have said, like uh, DEI, LGBTQ, transgender pronouns, all kind of shit. I mean, like all kind of irrelevant shit they are busy with, and they're thinking more about their own human rights, and nobody is willing to take the responsibility. So they are looking for someone, in my opinion, who could take their responsibility on himself. And that's why he's the Messiah, because Messiah took others' sin on him. And then he gave his own life and got crucified on the cross for the sins of others. But as I already said, yeah, Mamdani looks like a Messiah, but he's not going to go to cross for the sins of others. So yeah, this is the to me this is the beginning of the Islamic era in America, which has already started. Which has already started. I saw a video which was very viral. A guy talking to a Muslim. I don't know if that guy was mayor or a congressman, but this priest went there and he talked about a street named on Hamas. And this guy was telling he's a Muslim from some Middle Eastern country. I think he's mayor again, mayor of some small city, and he was telling the priest, the American priest, the Middle Eastern guy who ascend to the position of a mayor of some city. He's telling the priest that he was Islamophobic and he didn't know how to coexist. Like he's telling him, like if he didn't know how to coexist, why are you his mayor? But anyway, nothing happened. That guy even went to the higher authorities to file a complaint about it. Nothing happened. And then the same thing happened in that city in Detroit, where the first Islamic city, where people went to the court to have that flag back for LGBTQ. Nothing happened. So I think this is the beginning of the Islamic era. And I say this because all my Muslim friends in America, they are celebrating. They're not looking at it like a political thing. To them, this is a religious thing. To them, this is the beginning of the Islamic reign in New York City. And if the biggest city in the United States is going to be taken over by a Muslim leader, whoever he says he is, but he is a Muslim leader, and being a Muslim and a socialist, that's a very lethal combination, because they in the end they don't go hand in hand. And I think in the end Islam is going to be the victor, and socialism will die. And and people say like, okay, I was of the opinion too that perhaps okay, these kind of leaders should come and they should take over, and yeah, people should elect them and then see like how they work, and then they see them fail so that they never choose a leader like them again. But I think the people like Mamdani and people like Sadiq Khan, these are the people who have the talent and the ability to cause irreversible damage to the system. And even after 4 years, if he's not going to be the mayor of New York City and someone else takes place, I think the legacy that he's going to leave behind is going to be very dangerous for the city, going to be dangerous for the people, and I think it is going to leave scars and irreversible damage for the people of the city and for the republic, for the democracy, and for the system. And yeah, and for the American people too. All those Americans who have very high hopes, and people like Mamdani. It's not only Mamdani, others too. I think they will see that they will see how it works and how this is going to backfire. But in the end, it's going to be too late, and I don't know how they are going to deal with it. I think this is all I have to say. Yeah, the last thing I want to say is that why Pakistanis and Muslims in the other parts of the world are celebrating Mamdani's victory. This is a question all Americans should ask to themselves. If he's only American, why Muslim world is so happy? That's a question which requires answering, and the answer is very simple. They think that their guy is in power. They think that Mamdani is going to take over New York City. They think that Islam is going to be the power and the religion in the New York City, and they think that the Islamic era has just arrived, and which is not wrong entirely. And I think people who are celebrating his victory, I mean, the Americans who are celebrating his victory, not the Muslims, the Americans who are celebrating his victory, uh, they will soon find it out that they have made the biggest mistake of their lives. All I have to say is that I wish good luck to Mamdani and the people of New York City, but I see a storm coming, and I think when this shit is going to hit the fan, the American people, they don't have the boots for it. All right, thank you very much. Have a good day.